1 2 1 2. I go by the name of DJ What, and you're now listening to the original Jeek Podcast. Let's go.
Ready to make an entrance, so backward cut. Come on, cut for me.
Oh yeah. Whoa, slow down. Whoa, speed up.
Fresh.
Yeah, making me itch.
What up, Jeeks? I am the original Jeek, and my name is Rockin' Mr. Magic, and this is the original Jeek Podcast. Welcome back, folks. It's season 7, episode 4, and unfortunately, I am without my co-host, my main man, Jersey's finest, UniqDNA. But we got something for you today. We got something for you. So we're going to start the show a little differently. We're going to start with a couple quick sports-related topics, and then we're going to flip onto the geek side of the world because we've got an interview coming up that is really, really special with a guest that I'm so excited to have. So let's start things off and popping. 2025 is supposed to have the Detroit Red Wings and the Columbus Blue Jackets play a Winter Classic game potentially in Ohio Stadium. This was reported on Barstool Sports, Barstool Detroit, by John Berkegross. And if this happens, this would be potentially huge. The Winter Classic to me is, it's not like a Winter Classic, but it potentially could be. But because of the timing, it can't be the Winter Classic, just because of the timing of the college football season and such. So it's like a Winter Classic to me because it's outdoors, but it's not an official Winter Classic game. But regardless, an outdoor game at Ohio Stadium between the Wings and the Blue Jackets should be freaking cool. We're talking about the second or third biggest stadium in college football. You know, we're talking a potential, you could potentially have over 100,000 people attending this outdoor hockey game. This could be really big for the NHL, especially if they push and market this. If they can build upon the natural Michigan-Ohio rivalry outside of just Michigan and Ohio State, but the general rivalry between the state of Michigan and the state of Ohio, that would be wise, in my opinion, to build up, and having this as an easier access stadium, so out-of-state fans have an easier time getting to Columbus than getting up, to Ann Arbor. I think this is a great decision, a great venue. Like, I'm a Wolverine fan. I detest Ohio State, but I'm not an idiot. Ohio Stadium is a fantastic building. It's a gorgeous facility, and I think the way it's designed is actually really cool. Then the horseshoe portion is going to be really cool for viewing hockey. So that, if it happens, and it looks like all things that I'm seeing indicate that it's a very high potential to happen, that could be really, really cool. Next in the sports front, this is just, man, I don't know what to say. Shout out to my man Simeon Walker, my man, the big man Simeon Walker, in the Jeek Nation community. Shout out to you, fam, for posting this topic. So apparently, Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, and Luke Longley are going on tour. That's right. Called the No Bull Tour, to tell their side of The Last Dance. and to discuss playing with Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls in the 90s. And the graphic posted by Ball is Life says, and I quote, "A lot of people want to ask us about that BS documentary." Like, okay, I'm going to say this, okay? Everybody has their right. And with these guys, they have the platform to tell their side of whatever story. And I personally have zero problem with anyone telling their side of the story as a team. If somebody came to me and said, "Hey, I want you to be part of this documentary for this team that you were on," and I would tell my side of the story. I would tell what happened. And if, what I say doesn't paint particular people who want to be looked upon in a certain light, in that same light, well, that's what it is. And I get that Pip, especially, Pip is, Pip's sour grapes about this thing has been well documented. My thing is, Pip can feel some kind of way, and I get what Pip's beef is a bit. He felt that Mike really played up the contract situation, and then the injury delaying that back surgery, and Mike felt a way about it. I get that, and look, they won the title. It's not like Pip did it and it cost them the title. They won. Yes, MJ had to carry the team for about 30-plus games without Pip, and he had to pick up that slack. And, Mike felt a kind of way about it. And Pip didn't like the way he was portrayed. The way he was portrayed. Okay, cool. You don't like the way you were portrayed, and that you felt that Mike was dogging you. Cool, whatever. Mike said his piece. You said your piece. It's done. Horace Grant, nobody dogged you, bro. No one said anything negative about you. They didn't say a lot about you, and I personally didn't think they would say a lot about Horace Grant, because Horace Grant wasn't part of The Last Dance. If Horace Grant was a part of a documentary, it would be The First Dance, the first repeat. Sure, talk about that. You were there for that. You were integral to that. But you weren't a part of The Last Dance. You was in Orlando. You weren't a part of that. So, what is your beef? And you're lucky you were in the thing, because you had nothing to do with the last run of the championship Chicago Bulls. Luke Longley, I don't know. I don't know. Luke. I didn't think Luke was being portrayed poorly. Let's keep it a buck. Luke Longley wasn't some transcendent player. He was a solid, serviceable player. At the time, he was the best player to come out of Australia. He wasn't a bum. He wasn't a bum. He wasn't the Bulls fans know. Y'all had Dave Corzine. You had Brad Sellers, 80s, early 90s. Y'all had, he was better than Scott Williams, better player than Williams, better player than Stacey King. And no disrespect to Stacey King, who still works for the Bulls organization. No disrespect to Scott Williams. But Luke Longley was a better player than those two. Overall, I would say Scott Williams especially was a better defender. But Luke Longley overall better player than those two guys. I don't think Luke Longley personally, I didn't feel he was portrayed negatively in The Last Dance, really. He wasn't some transcendent player. He did his role. He did it well. Mike said they couldn't do without him. I don't understand what beef there could be But there might be. I don't know. I don't know what happened else behind the scenes. And obviously, there's things that the Last Dance itself did not show that I'm sure Horace and Luke have on their minds potentially to share. Pip's been running his mouth. But you know what? Look, if you were Scottie Pippen and you felt that you got disrespected on this documentary from almost 4 years ago now, and then the dude who did this documentary, his son is out there, smashing your ex-wife, you feel some kind of way too. So, But my question to y'all out there, and I would love to see y'all post about this more in the Jeek Nation Facebook group, or, leave a comment on Spotify. But would you not even go to the Noble Tour, but would you even watch it if it's on Netflix or ESPN? Would you even press play? That's my question. That's going to be the Q&A question to this. One of the Q&A questions this episode is, would you even press play on the Noble Tour? All right, last sports-related topic before we get to the main interview today. And that's going to talk to the All-Star Game. Yes, the All-Star Game. So, on the Rich Eisen show, one of the guys, Brockman, made the statement that major sports should get rid of All-Star games. And if he said baseball should keep theirs, and I think baseball, the MLB, in my opinion, has the most competitive All-Star game. And I've said that for years, and I believe that it's the most competitive All-Star game. One, because you got a new pitcher coming in like every 2 innings, and they're fresh. So you get a lot of pitching, you get low-scoring games. But also, the biggest thing to me is that the game means something. You win, and you get to your league. You get home field advantage in the World Series. That means something. So if East versus West in the All-Star game means you get home court advantage, I think that should help with making the NBA All-Star game mean something, and maybe these guys will try. Your regular season record determines your home court advantage into the playoffs, but come NBA Finals time, make it worth something. Now, the NFL, obviously, that's not the fix. That's not how that works. You don't have home field in the NFL. I don't think you can do anything to save the Pro Bowl, to be perfectly honest. These guys aren't going to start hitting. It's not going to be what it was in the 80s and the 90s or even early 2000s. We're not going to see Sean Taylor level anybody the way he did in the Pro Bowl. We're not going to see that. These guys, it's a different breed that's playing the game right now. They're a little more, in some ways, a little more cautious. And understandably, they have a lot of money to lose, and especially for the NFL guys in a league where most of your contracts are not guaranteed, or they're only partially guaranteed after a certain amount of time. So you don't want to mess up the potential of having anything guaranteed. Now, basketball, it's different. Guaranteed contracts. You sign a 10-year, you sign a 5-year deal. You blow your knee in year 1, you're getting paid off 5 years, guaranteed deal. Like it's done for. Not that you want that to happen, but similar to like the Derrick Rose situation with the Bulls, he was hurt for so long, but he was getting paid, guaranteed deal. So, I don't think there's any saving the NFL Pro Bowl, but you can save the NBA All-Star Game. And I think the first way to save the NBA All-Star Game is by making it determine who has home court in the NBA Finals. That's going to be the second question posted on Spotify And all both these questions will be posted specifically in Spotify app. So if you use Spotify to listen to the original Jeek podcast, please interact with the show by answering any of the questions that we have posted on our episodes. So first question is going to be, would you press play on the Noble Tour? And the second is, should the NBA make the winner of the All-Star Games conference get home court advantage? All right. So I'm going to take a quick pause here, and we're going to transition into our interview section. We are going fully geek from here on out through the rest of this episode. We're going to jump and talk some sci-fi with our guest. Welcome back, Jeeks, to the original Jeek Podcast. This episode is a little different because, one, unfortunately, I am flying solo without my co-host, UniqDNA. But this is a kind of a two-part podcast in that we started off talking about our sports stuff, but this is a special edition which we are focusing mostly on the world of sci-fi, comics, and fantasy. So joining me for the first time, and hopefully not the last, I have a special guest. She is a best-selling, award-winning author. She is the creator of Virtuous Con, an online sci-fi and comic culture convention that celebrates the excellence of BIPOC creators across media. Welcome to the show, Cerise Rennie Murphy.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Oh, it is my extreme pleasure to have you. Shout out to my man Ishmael Street of the That Is Not a Noun podcast. He was the one who linked us up. He has a fantastic conversation with Cerise on his podcast. Definitely go give that a subscribe and listen to. This conversation would not be happening without my man Ish and his 20 years of friendship. So definitely check that out. And I am so thankful to you, to your assistant for scheduling this, and for you for making time out of your very busy this is the eve of Virtuous Con.
It is.
So there's got to be so much going on. So first, happy Black History Month.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you. This is one of my favorite times of the year. And I'm very notorious for being very bombastic about my celebration of Black History Month.
As you should.
As I should.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So to introduce you to our listeners, I'm going to do a quick 5-question Q&A with you just to get a little, because this show's about having dope conversations around sports and geek culture. So
Right.
I want to focus on just 5 questions that will introduce you to your fandoms and such to our audience.
Okay.
Question number 1.
All right.
If you could live in a sci-fi / Afro-futuristic future, or universe, I should say, which would you pick to live in?
Oh my gosh. All right. Maybe The Matrix. And the reason why is I love the idea of being able to shape the world around me with my mind.
Ooh, okay.
The idea that there's no friction or distance between thought and creation. I love that idea. So maybe The Matrix, and being awake in The Matrix means I get to go in and out of that. Yeah, so that's probably
Wow. Okay.
that is
I've heard people pick The Matrix, but I've never heard that perspective. I like that.
It is, well, to me, The Matrix is really an examination of the power of our minds to create. That's science fiction in general. It's one of the things I love about the genre.
Absolutely.
As well as spiritual questions, because I consider science fiction and fantasy a deeply spiritual genre.
Absolutely.
So not at all, not necessarily religious. It can be, but it's really about the most important questions of our existence. What does it mean? Who are you? Really? What is your gift? What is your power, as it comes up in fantasy and science?
Yes.
And then how does that power impact your community and the world at large? Those are the questions of existence.
Absolutely.
And almost every science fiction and fantasy thing you're ever going to come up with is dealing with those questions. And I love
Absolutely.
that. So it's like the meat of life, but like with a lightsaber or a dragon or something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I would say, The Matrix, or this science fiction novel that I'm years away from writing, I think. But I hinted about it in a short story collection. It's a water-based world
Mm.
with beings who are eternal. They're immortal,
Okay.
and they can shapeshift at a cellular level into any being they want to
Mm.
mimic. And they're explorers. And I really like, they have sort of a group consciousness.
Okay, hive mind type thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
but it's really I'm just delving into the world, but I love water. I love water so much, and I'm creating this world, and I guess because I'm going to go into it, like I'm
Okay.
about to live in that world for a bit.
Okay.
So yeah, it's one of those two.
Very cool. Awesome. Question number 2. Objectively,
Mhm.
not your favorite, objectively, what is, in your opinion, the best sci-fi movie?
This is an impossible question. I just want to say that.
I know. Yeah, it's a
Because
little mean. I apologize.
I don't feel like you're that sorry, but I get I, it depends on sort of so many things. If you're talking visually, I mean, there's so many
I would
options.
say just to me the whole package, combining story, visual, impact.
Okay. I'm not going to give in to the picking just one, because I am contrary. So,
You and I are cut from the same cloth, because every time
yeah.
someone asks me what's the best movie, I say I can give you one per genre, maybe.
Right, right. So I already talked about The Matrix, because I will never forget seeing that. It was the first one. I'm not talking
Yes,
about, it was game changing
absolutely.
on almost every level of sort of visual and narrative storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. In the same way that Inception was.
Okay.
But yeah, so those two, but I'm not including it, so The Matrix, because that was first.
Yeah.
Another one that I loved is called Looper.
Okay. I know
It was
Looper.
a
Yeah.
little independent sci-fi film, but when I put it on the list because sometimes sci-fi can get caught up in like the cool gadgets and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But Looper is really a story about technology and the personal responsibility of power.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one of the great things that science fiction does is illustrate, make it human.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, it could be an alien, it could be whatever, but really,
Yeah.
I mean, we're human. All the stories are really about us anyway. So,
Right.
I love the way Looper grapples with the power of the things that are happening and able to happen in that movie. The first Aliens, just
Alien's so good.
it's just, again, just sort of definitive in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah.
Excellent storytelling, amazing creatures, tension throughout. You're just like, oh my gosh. And for the most part, it made sense, which is something, well, I'm not
Except
gonna-
for if that crew was mostly black, there's no way we're letting that man out of that sick bay
That's true.
to just be eating with us. Like, there's no way that man is
That
staying
is true.
quarantined. There's no way he
No,
gets out of there.
we would not have done that. We would
No,
not have done
we
that.
would not have done that.
But then again, a lot of genres, if we were in it, would be very different. Again,
The stories wouldn't last long. So we'd be like, nope, not gonna do it.
there you go. I saw this meme on Instagram where it's like, I guess somebody was like driving in a car with like a Jason mask on, and like all the black people ran, and it was like, this is why all horror movies with black people would be 5 minutes. Because like no one's like, hey, what's going on there? No one's doing that.
No.
And they're taking friends too, like the whole crew. They see one running, they're like, oh, something must be. I'll find out what later.
Let's go.
I'm out. So anyway, yeah, so that was really just, yeah, it was good on so many levels. Fast Colors is another independent film.
I watched that on Amazon, maybe on Prime, maybe 2 years ago.
It is a great movie.
It was, I'm not going to call it great story, Execution wasn't as great as it could be, but
That's true.
the story was excellent, and I could tell there was so much more that they probably wanted to put in
Right,
that they couldn't.
because
Yes, it
budget.
was a very underrated film, and if you're listening, you haven't seen Fast Colors, I definitely recommend checking it out.
Absolutely.
Excellent story, female-led story, um,
Black female-led story.
black female-led story. Yes, uh,
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic.
And the acting, what they did do with it,
Hmm.
like they did well, I mean, Lorraine is just
Oh
like
yeah,
every time you
she's
see her,
fantastic.
she's just amazing. Again, it's a story like Looper that grapples with the meaning of power and how you access that and the responsibility in that. And I love movies that do that. The Fly,
Oh yeah, Jeff Goldblum in The Fly.
definitive, just
Yes.
definitive. You know what I mean? And again, it's a movie that holds together visually.
Mhm.
Story, it's really complex. There's so much meat in there and so much humanity in the horror that is actually
Mhm.
happening. And then the last one, which is what got me to love sci-fi, is Star Wars Empire Strikes Back.
Empire. That's up there. That's top 5 for me.
Yeah. I mean, my dad was a Trekkie. I mean, he is a Trekkie. So
Good
that's
man.
where but I didn't, and I love Star Trek, so don't hate me. But
Oh,
Star Trek
I'm not one
didn't
of those.
get.
I'm not one of those
Oh no,
Trekkies.
I'm just speaking to
I,
the fan base. It's
oh
like,
yeah.
wait, what's she about to say? What's she about to say? No, I just Star Trek wasn't my entry point into loving the genre because for me, Captain Kirk was so gross.
Yeah, I get that. If I was a
As a
woman, I
little
probably would
girl,
have felt differently about Kirk because I say this, like people and my Twitch following laughed a lot because like I would be like, if I have a saying, if she's fine, she's fine. And that's because I grew up watching Captain Kirk hit on blue chicks, green chicks, purple chicks. It didn't matter. So to me, like, if she's fine,
right?
she's fine.
Yeah.
Like I don't care. But yeah, he was. If I was a woman, I would have been like, this dude is. Yeah, he's a bit much.
I mean, I just could not understand it. I mean, first of all, yes, you're right. I mean, and later Captain Kirk is fine, but like,
No, the original series. I mean,
original
every
series,
episode he's
Captain Kirk
macking on somebody.
is just so gross. I was like, first of all, let me give him his flowers. He was an ambassador for equal opportunity. He
Mhm.
certainly was. Every planet he went to, he was trying to be down.
That's right.
So I do acknowledge that. As a 7 or 8-year-old girl, I was like, who would want to kiss this guy? He's kissing every guy. Like
Everybody.
his lips have been everywhere. And then he's not the smartest person on the ship. I just could not understand why Spock was not captain. I just couldn't understand it.
Well, that's because he didn't want it.
Like literally anybody but Captain Kirk. I just was like, I don't understand this.
Yeah.
And then because I grew up in DC,
Chocolate City
was truly Chocolate City. Lieutenant Uhura made sense to me. Her being there was not a shock. I knew like 15 Black women like on my block that were like her, that were super, like, it was like, of course, if we're in space, we're going to know like 10 languages and we're going to be doing stuff. Like, yeah, that's like Mrs. Carter down the street. I mean, like, so it wasn't nothing. It was normal to me. It was normal that you would have a competent Black woman on the ship. I mean, you better look at who's running the ship. Captain Kirk, which is, again, go back to my bit, like, why is he running things? Why? And so when I watched Empire Strikes Back, I mean, it was just, yeah, it was groundbreaking. It was, yeah. So those are my more than one.
That's a fantastic list. I can't wait to make a clip out of that. That's a fantastic list. Okay. So I'm assuming then Empire answers my next question would be, well, actually, let me ask it because it's more than just a single movie. But what's your favorite sci-fi property? So that could be film franchise, TV show, book series.
Star Wars. I mean, there are a lot of, like, I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fans, like quoting it in my daily life. Fan, but Star Wars is probably the foundation. You know what I mean? Yoda was my first crush.
Oh.
because I have good taste. I really do. I mean, no,
No,
seriously.
you said it wrong. Good taste you have.
That's right. Good taste I have. That's right. So Yoda is with me at all times.
Aw, look at that. Oh, look at that. The whole collection.
Well,
Three.
this is just
Wow.
this just was
Okay.
on my desk. You know, because I need the Force. He's strong with the Force. He could cook. Look, the cute little hut home he had. I was 7, 8. I was just like, oh my gosh, he's so smart. Like you could just sit down in his little hut, like circular hut home. And I'd never seen anything that cute in my life in terms of a dwelling. And
Right?
I was like, and I could ask him any question and he would know the answer. And I
Yeah.
was just like, that's just the best. So I was like,
No,
yeah.
I can't be mad. Like access to that type of knowledge, like that is something that we should all want from our mentors, our elders, those
That's
that we look
right.
to. We should want to sit at their feet and like ask questions. And like that personally, I unfortunately didn't have a lot of that because my grandfather passed before I was born.
Yeah.
My grandmother was sick most of my life and she passed when I was 16. And I didn't
Mm.
have a connection to my paternal father's side, and then my father, my quote unquote stepfather, but I refer to him as my father. His father passed when I was
Mm.
very young,
Yeah.
and he was estranged really from his side of the family. So I didn't have much interaction or fortune with them. So like
Yeah.
I wasn't able to sit at the feet of my elders like I would like to,
Right.
and just soak in. So when I had those opportunities, at Thanksgiving or family reunions, like
Yeah.
I asked my poor Uncle Bob, I asked him so many questions about my grandfather, about my great Uncle Carl, who was a red cap and,
Oh, wow.
really helped the family get into the black middle class at that point. Like
Mhm.
I just wanted to soak in all that knowledge. And Yoda
Yeah.
is such a fantastic example of just having that elder there that you can really tap into.
Yeah.
And and Empire is just such a fantastic piece of cinema. So
It is. It is.
yeah, and Star Wars is, people know like I'm a Trekkie first, but Star Wars is fantastic. And I'll never take that away.
No question about. And Star Wars is too. I mean, Star Trek is too. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
If you could be a guest in a film or TV series, which would it be?
Oh man. Oh man. Oh man. Guest. Okay. I would be. Now, this isn't the exact answer to your question, but
Okay.
yeah, but we're getting a theme here.
Okay.
I would be Tandy Newton in Chronicles of Riddick.
Wow. Okay.
Because I think Lady Macbeth is
Mhm.
one of the best literary characters
By
ever
far.
written.
Absolutely.
And
The
I'm not a
complexity.
Shakespeare fan, but Lady Macbeth, I mean,
No, Lady Macbeth makes Macbeth. Like
oh yeah, well yeah, there's no real exactly. Everybody
I
else
mean,
is
she
just
makes that story.
yeah, everybody else is just angsty. Lady
Yes.
Macbeth is a boss. And
Yes.
in Chronicles of Riddick, I've always said like I acting's not my thing. But I've always said if I was gonna play a character, I would want to play Lady Macbeth. And in Chronicles of Riddick, Tandy Newton's character plays Lady Macbeth
She's Lady Macbeth. Yeah.
with
Yeah.
with the outfits. So I wouldn't exactly be a guest, but if I could, I would step in and be Tandy Newton in Chronicles of Riddick, who is just diabolical.
Oh yeah.
Diabolical. And clearly having so much fun. Like she tries to murder Judi Dench's character. Like
Yeah,
she is just she's just doing her thing. And
She
looking
sure
good
is.
doing it.
Yeah, and looks great doing it.
With it. Yeah. So that's not exactly, but you get where I'm going.
I actually I like it because it takes more of a central role, than just a cameo in in
That's
Star
right. If I'm
Wars or
gonna do it,
whatever.
I'm gonna
Yeah,
do it.
absolutely. Hey, I'm the same way. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it way big.
There you go.
All right, last question.
Yeah.
Who would be your favorite comic book hero?
Okay, so this is hard. I didn't read comics growing up, and I know everybody don't kill me. But I actually didn't get it because I'm not a visual learner like that.
Mm.
I was like, why would you read a comic when you could read a book? There are more words. Like literally, that's what I was chasing. Like all the words and all the story. Is only until I had my son, who is a visual learner, that I understood the role of comics and how we lose our boys and our visual learners. Because my daughter's also a visual learner. So here's the other thing. It's not just boys, but how we lose our visual learners in the school system when you start to transition from picture books to chapter books.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, so then I became a comic collector. So my favorite is probably Miles Morales. I was thinking about it just recently, just because really of the impact it's had on my kids, and particularly my son. When I bought him that first issue of Miles Morales, like something clicked for him. And that was years ago. I can't even remember how young he was, but now he's 16.
Okay.
He's drawing pictures of Miles Morales. He references him on a regular basis. And so he's one of my favorite characters because I see it's like a real life why representation matters.
Absolutely.
And the impact seeing him in comics and in the films has had on him and his peers. And I'm grateful to that little man for everything that he lets my son and his friends know that is possible for them. Because that representation is there. So he's my favorite character. But as a kid, and again, not reading the comic, Superman, I really liked.
Okay.
Just because, again, Superman was grappling with a lot of like, what does it mean to have power? And how do you use it in a good way when you could literally do anything?
Yes.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed that struggle and the story of that. Filter.
That's excellent. And I have to double down on Miles because I can't call him my favorite, but he's in my top 10 at least because of what the character has done for my kids, especially one of my twin girls. My twin daughter, one of my twin girls, exactly the same as your son. She's 13. She's not even really, drawing is not her thing, but she draws pictures of Miles. She tells me almost every day that Miles is her man. Like she has watched Into Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse probably 200 times. I bought her off of Wish.com. I bought one of those Miles costumes. She still has that. Her favorite shoes are Jordan 1s, even though they're not exactly the ones he wears in the movies. They're close enough. Like, she loves Miles Morales.
Yeah.
And the representation means so much to her. And we talk about Spider-Man all the time because I'm a big Spider-Man fan. But of course, I grew up with Peter Parker, so he's always like my Spider-Man. But when Miles came out, I was intrigued, especially because they weren't making Peter Parker black. They were making a new character.
Right.
And, having a black Hispanic male in New York and they told a great story from jump. I was in. I was completely in. That's an excellent choice. And you can see, I have no qualm saying it. The best Spider-Man movies are the Miles movies.
They are. And I'm a Peter Parker fan, again, because of that grappling with any character that is legitimately grappling with the ultimate power and keep maintaining the humility of power. So I've been a Peter Parker fan, but Adam
and it
doesn't take away from Peter. It's a whole different thing.
Exactly. I'm going to give you a recommendation if you haven't read it.
What?
I'm going to recommend to you to read the Superior Spider-Man run.
Okay.
So if you don't know, Doc Ock, Otto Octavius, he takes over Peter Parker's body in Superior Spider-Man.
Oh my gosh.
And he comes to the revelation of how much Peter is holding back in his power when he's Spider-Man. He didn't realize, he's like, this guy's been pulling his punches. He's been holding back because of that grapple with power. And then, of course, with great power comes great responsibility. And so I'm not going to say anything more because I don't want to spoil
Yeah,
it
I will
anymore.
check that
But
out.
check
Absolutely.
out that Superior Spider-Man run
Yeah,
with
I'm
Otto
gonna buy that
Octavius as
series.
Spider-Man in
Yeah.
Peter's body.
I love that. Thank you.
Awesome. No, you're welcome. Well, we're going to transition to a section of our show that we call What Are You PWC? PWC
Yep.
stands for Playing, Watching, and Creating.
Yep.
So, because we love to have fun on this show,
Yeah.
what are you, playing in your house, game-wise, family-wise, that you're just doing for enjoyment?
I am playing Uno and 21 with my kids. That's
21
what I'm doing.
21 is great.
21 is great. And my daughter is like a shark with it. She's like doing all the cards. And because the truth is, nobody is interested in playing a video game with Cerise. It's been true.
Are you that good or that bad?
Oh, I'm that bad. My best friend back in the day with arcades, my best friend had like a part-time job, so she always had money. And she loved going into the arcades. And I didn't have any money, but I was with her, and she gave me 4 quarters. I think I lost, I don't even think it was 5 minutes. I don't think it was 5 minutes before I lost all 4 quarters. And she was like, I'm not giving you no more of my hard-earned money. My kids, every once in a while, they're like, please play Mario Kart with us. And I sit down and I play. And then they remember why they don't ask me to play. Like, what is the one with Mario in the dungeons? Like, you go in the dungeons and you got to get out. I can't see. Okay. No,
it's okay. No.
But yeah, Mario and, Bowser's castle and all that. They literally kill me. Like, I'll be trying to go, and then I'm like, wait for me. They're like, Mom, come on. Let's just
press pause.
They just like, we can't even with you. I'm like, but I died. And they're like, Mom, we'll see at the end. That's how bad it is. So I am playing card games with my kids, but I'm enjoying it.
Okay. Are you teaching them spades so that they don't get kicked out of the cookout?
See, I was just saying I didn't play any card games as a kid. I can't play spades. I can't play. My parents are West Indian. I can't play dominoes.
You can't play dominoes either?
I can't. And I should be able to. The whole slam. I mean, it's a whole West Indian. I mean, it not only is an African American. It's you got the cursing. You got
it's very Caribbean.
You got that. Like, I've seen it, but I don't know. So I'm not sure who is going to. But my son has one more year before he goes to college. So I need to find somebody to teach him dominoes and spades.
Yeah.
But I also understand nobody teaches you spades. You just got to kind of watch.
Well, there are a couple gracious people who will teach you. It's hard to find them.
I need to find them because I don't want him. I got to make sure his orientation is shored up. Like, I'll play like some Frankie Beverly, and I'm like, you know this song, right? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay.
Okay.
Right, you know what I mean? Like, I'm just trying to run through the inventory.
Right, boy. You know an electric slide, right?
Okay. Right.
Check. No, trust. No, I trust me. I had that moment on Sunday. Now my kids are mixed. Mm-hmm. And long story short, I have not been able to get them to church as often as properly as often as I would wanted to. Mm-hmm. Got them to church on this past Sunday and went to predominantly black church, which are not that many in my part of Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. But pastor is someone who went to old church of mine. I know him, so I've been going there a couple of weeks. Got the twins there with me. Then I realized that my girls don't know how to clap on the 2 and 4.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yep. It's all right. See,
and I don't, and it wasn't them. Like, I was like, oh, I have failed.
That's right.
Failed.
Now Jesus gave you an opportunity to learn where the gaps are, and now you can fill them.
Like, I have failed. Like I know they don't know how electric slide. Like, I have failed these girls. They're going to be going to college in 4 years. I have failed them.
Get on it. It's okay. This is why we do the inventory now, so we can understand where the gaps are.
Yes. And
we can fill them to competency level. We're not. They will perfect in college. That's what college does. Right. We need an orientation so that they're not like, what? And everybody's like, you know, the records. Yeah.
And everybody's head turned. Yeah. They don't need those moments in school.
They don't need those moments. And so we're here for it. So we're going to be thankful. That's what we're going to be. That
Yes. I'm glad I caught it now. Yes.
There you go. And now you're going to be like, all right, now, come on, y'all.
Come
on now.
And I'm sitting there and I said to her, 2 and 4, count 1, 2, 3, 4. Come on, count 1, 2. Clap on that 2. 1, 2. She's like, and she's trying to follow me. And it's just, yeah.
Right.
But she got it for a little bit. But then she kind of went on her own, like, teen bop thing. I'm like, all right, she's just, let her feel the spirit. Let her feel the spirit.
All right.
Oh, no, I'm right there with you. Well, hopefully, maybe soon. You know, maybe, I don't know if Virtuous Con will ever go in person, but maybe we can have a little orientation, you know, for people there. If Virtuous Con goes in person someday, you know, have a little spades, have a little dominoes, make sure, you know.
We pass on, as Yoda would say, pass on what you have learned. Yes, we need to do that. So Virtuous Con, the con will probably always be virtual. I have actually no aspirations to take it physical, but I would do pop-ups. Like we could do a
pop-up at BlurCon maybe.
That's right. I could do a pop-up where it's like, come on, y'all. We doing remedial spades up in here. Come on, everybody. No judge. A safe space.
Well, like you said, most people aren't willing to teach, and these young people aren't learning because people aren't willing to teach.
Yeah, we need to do an intervention center, pop-up center. Where we're like, yes, you are a nerd. Yes, you are Black. It is okay.
Yes.
We're going to help you not get called out at
you can count me in. I volunteer as tribute to help.
Absolutely. That's excellent. That is a wonderful idea. And yeah, I would totally do that. I would totally do pop-ups.
Hey, I'm there to partner with you and make it happen.
There you go.
All right. Next part. What have you been watching?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So my kids just introduced me to Solo Leveling. Okay. And I have been watching it. I have one more episode, and I am kind of into it.
Okay.
Like, all right. I'm feeling like I'm semi-cool. Yeah, I'm really into it. And Arya is like way ahead in the manga. Sky started it. That's my daughter. And so they're like, oh, well, so Arya said, oh, well, later he gets this and that. But I don't mind the spoiling because I'm probably
you're not going to remember.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter because it's a visual storytelling.
Yeah.
So it's been one of the few animes that they've shared with me that I'm like, I always get it. I'm like, okay, it's such fascinating story arcs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, as a writer, I'm like, wow, they are really like bringing anime is so amazing at raising the stakes to like ever impossible levels.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, whoa. I mean, they do torture. Like they do character torture.
They sure do.
That's basically what anime is. But it's so I get some of it. He tried to get me to, well, I'm not going to name it and then get flamed later. But some of the animes, it's
no. We have a lot of hot takes in our Facebook group and our listeners. So hot take, I throw out hot takes all the time, and people come at me about my hot takes. So yes, I enjoy One Piece.
The first episode, now, it's one of my son's favorite animes. He's like, "Come on, Mom, you got to do it." And I was just like, "All right, what is this character that's crying like every 5 seconds? Is he gonna die? Like is he gonna die at the end of this episode?" And they're like, "No, he's one of the main characters." He was like, I'm out. Because if that dude doesn't stop. I mean, the anime cry. I mean, I was just like, I don't do angst like that. So I was out. But anyway, Solo Leveling, I'm really enjoying it. It's only 7 episodes, I guess, that they've got on Crunchyroll right now. Yep. And so I can get through it because I don't watch a lot of TV.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I do the other things that I do. People are like, how do you have time? I'm
like, you gotta sacrifice something. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm enjoying that with them, and they're feeling like, oh yeah, Mom's watching the anime. I'm like, yes, I am.
No, that's awesome. Like as an old anime head, I've been watching anime my entire life. That's awesome to see and hear. Especially sharing it with the kids, because like I kind of shared / forced on my older and my younger kids, and
Is
they
it so?
all enjoy anime. And then they got to the point where they were watching shows like My Hero Academia, and they were
Yeah.
getting ahead of me, and I'm like, they're like trying to talk about it. I'm like, y'all are ahead of me. Like, no, I don't want to hear it. I can't. Don't spoil it for me.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I need to catch up. My backlog is full. So no, that's really dope.
Yeah.
All right, so transitioning into the creation part. So obviously the creation part we're focusing on for you
Mm.
is Virtuous Con.
Yes.
What was the driving force, the impetus for you to start this fantastic online con?
So it was two things. Um, I started Virtuous Con in 2020, and there were, at that time, the world was shutting down, and for independent creators, how we sell it, to be an independent creator, almost by definition, means most people don't know who you are.
Correct.
So how you get people to know who you are and buy your stuff is you do in-person events where you get to connect with them, you get to talk to people about your products, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all of that was shutting down. And what was coming up in terms of online conventions was lots of great panels, and then like somewhere where there were links for
Mhm.
independent creators. Well, if links sold our products, no independent creator would go anywhere.
True.
Remember, no one really knows who you are. So why would they click on the link of someone they don't know? They haven't heard. That's
Yeah.
not how we do our jam.
Right.
So I could see the gap there, that in the virtual convention space, no one was really understanding our business model.
Mm.
At the same time, 2020 was happening. The murder of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, on and on.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a time where despair really was pushing at the door in my mind, in my spirit. I had two children, two Black American children. And I don't believe, I brought them into this world.
Mm.
It is my job to hand them a world that is better than the one I got.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's just
absolutely
like basic
that's basic.
generational, code of conduct. And we are very much in danger of not doing that in many ways. I also can't bring them despair.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I get to do. I have to find hope. I have to be hope for them. You know what I mean? So I was grappling with trying to push back that despair. And I thought, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And I remembered, the example of our ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I am here is because despite whatever was going on, our ancestors built. They built an infrastructure for us to move forward, whether we were popular or not, whether there were laws for it or not,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was illegal or not, because reading used to be illegal. For us.
Mm-hmm.
They learned how to read, and they taught their children how to read, period. They were focused, and that's why I'm here and have this amazing life. And I thought, what I need to do is build. So there were those two things. And in the middle of them is this, what I like to call a mad, bad, or what I have called a mad, bad, sad narrative about who Black people are.
Okay.
That's on TV. It's in books. It's the fraction of our story that is most amplified.
Oh, yeah.
That serves to dehumanize us. So when you have your knee on our neck, you don't even recognize there's a human underneath you. But also it keeps us in that despair place, where we're fighting the despair instead of building. But Black independent creators that I know, so many of them are creating amazing, expansive narratives of who we are. And I thought, how can I elevate those narratives? Because it's not like they're not out there.
Right.
They're a plethora of them. And in fact, for many independent creators, the reason why they're independent is because traditional sources do not want to tell those stories. And I thought, this is my brick that I can lay down to contribute in the line of building. that my ancestors have started. And so Virtuous Con for me is about elevating the stories, expansive narratives of Black and Brown people so that we rise above this mad, bad, sad narrative and reflect not just the beauty of who we are fully, but also the beauty of who we can become, not just as Black people, but as a community and as a world. And that's what I wanted to do with Virtuous Con.
That is amazing. You've done a fantastic job. This is going to be the fourth?
It's the fourth year, it's the fifth event.
Fifth event, fourth year, fifth event.
Yeah.
Awesome. And you've got, I'm looking at the lineup, N.K. Jemisin, like, I saw N.K.'s name on there, I was like, and I had only discovered her, I can't claim to discover her, a podcast I used to be a member of, a book club podcast, introduced me to NK, and when we read great, now I'm going to forget the name of the book.
The Killing Moon.
No, the fifth season.
Yeah,
fifth season was my introduction to her, and I did not know anything about her. I knew nothing about the book. So as I'm reading this book and I'm talking about it with, in our podcast is comprised of four people: myself, a white passing Latino friend of mine from Texas, and two middle American white women. So we're talking about it, and I'm like, and I'm discussing how these themes are like very Black struggle, like that was going on, and one of the white women goes, well, the author N.K. Jemisin, and she's a Black woman. I'm like, okay, now this is making a lot more sense.
Like, how you know?
Yeah, I was like, because I'm like, I'm like, this sounds like a Black woman talking about what she's been going through. And I'm like, this is a lot of Black struggle going on in this book, and that completely changed finishing, because we did the show and did the book in part, so that completely changed the latter half of reading the book for me, with that revelation of where the story now is coming from. So then I actually reread some of the early parts of the books. I'm like, okay, now this is really starting to click for me on where this is coming from, and it was a fantastic, absolutely fantastic read. So when I seeing her name, having her on there is just like such a great jewel to have. Like, it's
grateful.
It's really grateful.
From a
very cool
standpoint.
Absolutely, because that woman is not
busy.
She is not a lot of free time.
No.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this: what advice would you have for someone who may have an avenue like yourself that's like, I really want to start my own virtual con? Like, how would you advise a person to really explore it and dive into that?
Great question. Okay, so first let me be honest about the initial kernel, because I was noticing these things in terms of sort of how virtual conventions weren't necessarily meeting the needs of independent creators. But I woke up one morning after noticing this, and God says to me, you need to start your own virtual convention. It was March 23rd.
Good day.
2020. I was just starting a new job after a decade of being primarily a stay-at-home mom, part-time writer. My kids' school had just shut down in the pandemic, and it was my first day of homeschooling them. And I woke up, and this is the voice that I heard in my head. And I said to God at that point, you need to get off the pipe. I was like, are you crazy? It's like, do you not see everything that's going on in my life right now? Does it, like, why are you talking to me? Like, have you not noticed? This is like kind of a big day for me. And God, who sounds like Samuel Jackson, and my everyday God sounds like Samuel Jackson, like the God that I used to walk around with. And God was just. Are we
talking like Pulp Fiction Sam Jackson, or more of fresh Sam Jackson?
It depends, or the Red Violins Sam Jackson.
Okay.
It depends on where I'm at. God was quickly moving from Nick Fury. Nick Fury is sort of the general pick because I'm hard headed. So Nick is like the general, and sometimes God has to get into Pulp Fiction. Sam Jackson, but mostly I'd say it's around Nick Fury because I'm so hard headed. And God was just like, oh, this again. Just do what I tell you. So the first thing I would say to anyone who wants to start an online convention or any creative project is follow the call. Because what I said at that moment was, I don't know how to do this. Like, I don't even, and God was just like, just do what I tell you, like always. You don't know how to do anything before I told you. So through that process, then like, I think I heard about George Floyd's murder shortly after that, and then Breonna Taylor. And then, so you see how like everything is just, first you get the idea and you're thinking, well, that's impossible. I don't know how to do that, right?
Yeah.
And then you see the circumstances in your life. Because what I said to God that morning was, well, okay, then this is all on you. Because I don't know how to do this. Obviously, I've got a lot of stuff to do. And so you're just going to have to bring the resources because I can't.
Yeah.
And God was like always. And sure enough, all of these things started playing in my mind that created this pressure point where I was like, I see why I need to do this. Because it wasn't just online conventions aren't serving independent creators. It was this narrative piece. And how do we change this narrative about who we are? That really then created for me to answer the call and be like, this is what I'm going to do. All right, I'm in. And so what I would say, the first thing is answer the call, like for real.
Okay.
Don't just think about it and, sketch some notes and talk. Answer the call of the mission that you have been given. And by mission, I mean the thing in your heart, the thing that's keeping you up at night, thinking about it. That means that's in you, babe. That's what that means. So answer it. After you've answered it and realized you don't really know what that means, start with the first step. What is the smallest, first, if it's a list of questions that you don't need to know, then start with answering them. If it's the smallest version, you don't need to go from idea to New York Comic Con. Right. That's a convenient thought because what it does is absolve you of responsibility. Okay. So understand that thought, all that angst, that is you looking for the exit. You may not recognize it, but that's what that is. You want to take the smallest possible version of your idea and execute it. So, for example, with Virtuous Con, we launched in October of 2020. I got the call in March. Really, by this summer, I was like, I'm going to do this.
Wow.
Stop complaining.
That's a 7-month turnaround. That's quick.
But our first beta launch was 3 hours.
Okay.
On a Saturday. It was free for everybody because I'd found the technology. We use Remo.co that is a sponsor of this event. Thank you very much. It's a truly interactive platform that enables you to have this whiteboard where you can set up your virtual booth as an independent creator and sell directly, just like you do at a in-person convention. Wow. Plus, it is live. So you can talk to your vendor just like we are talking right now. You can be looking at their whiteboard, their virtual booth, asking them questions about it as you are talking and looking at them. So I wanted to just test the platform that we were going to use. It was 3 hours. We had 1 panel and 2 hours of vending. And it was 1 day. Okay. From that, I learned, I could do this. The platform works. We had 50 guests. And I was able to test it. And then I found a team of people who could help me. And that team has grown. It was just 4 of us. Now I have a staff of like 6, 7 people. You know what I mean? So it may just be you and a friend. But take the smallest version of what you want to do and start to test it. And then learn something from that and move forward.
That is sage advice.
But first, answer the call. Get serious about this thing that's in your head.
Wow. No, that is fantastic.
And if it's on you, believe me, it won't be too hard because life will be kicking your butt until you
get it done.
So that's the convenient part. If it's really your mission, it's hard to get it. I mean,
Oh, no,
we'll talk about the pimp hand of God later.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Well, through Virtuous Con, obviously, and you've provided a fantastic platform for those Black independent creators. Would you mind putting some flowers out there for some of those creators that maybe not getting the shine that they deserve yet? I'm going to ask you to exclude two names
Yep,
because they've been on my show before.
yep,
And my man Greg Burnham, shout out to Greg, who's
yeah,
agreed to be a regular guest on the show, and the wonderful artist Marcus Williams. So, excluding
right,
those two excellent creators, can you
yeah.
just give me like five that our listeners can check out and look into?
Okay, so in terms of books, I'm going to ask you to check out Andrea Rose Washington, who will actually be at the convention. She is a sci-fi and fantasy author, a young woman who is just, it's so exciting to see Andrea move because, you want to see the younger generation go farther and faster.
Absolutely.
Learn what it took you 5 years to learn. Like you want to see them learn in 1 year. And Andrea is just a sponge for knowledge, information, and learning and growing. Her stories are just so unique. One of the things I love about her sci-fi series, Ellendale, is it's every time you think you know where it's going, she takes a hard left, hard right. You're like, what? And so I love that kind of story. I think she should be getting more shine. In terms of visual arts, Jocelyn Short. She did the graphic for our convention this year. The
Oh,
woman with the lightning
yeah,
bolt.
that's absolutely
Jocelyn is a
fantastic.
beast. She is a genius. She is a genius, and I was privileged to work with her on the new book that I'm editing now. And she will be at Virtuous Con as well. And just again, expansive vision of Black people, who we are, and yeah, who we can be. It's just she's just brilliant. Um, let's see. In terms of comics, I'm going to mention T.J. Sterling and Ray Comics, which is again just innovative, expansive storytelling. Um, and he's always pushing the boundaries both visually and storytelling wise.
Mm.
He put his main comic is Okamesa. He puts that boy through so much trauma. Like I said, it's like you talk about character torture. I'm like, woo! Is it gonna get any better for him? But yes, it's just a gripping story and someone I would absolutely recommend. Next comic I'm gonna recommend is Newton Lillavois. It's Dream Fury Comics.
Okay.
And he has Keisha the Demon Slayer. Let me just tell you, just visually, it grabs you from the beginning in terms of storytelling and does not let go. Yeah, just fantastic person and fantastic storytelling.
Awesome.
And the art is bananas. And then we also have finally, I'm going to recommend Sarah Carter, who's also going to be at Virtuous Con, who is a filmmaker. And right now you can check out Queendom Come, which is it's a speculative fiction story. And yeah, it's just amazing. We are doing everything out here. And not only are we doing it, we're doing it well. And so I mentioned 5.
That's
And
5.
there are 24 total vendors at Virtuous Con.
Amazing.
And all of them are doing amazing things.
Well, I'm going to definitely check them out personally. For those 5 people,
Except for TJ, I forgot he's on a panel. He's not on our vendor floor. But
that's okay. I mean, I just was looking for people that to recommend. So, now, in the show notes, there will be links. 1 to Virtuous Con, and 2, though I'm going to make sure I find links for each one of those amazing artists.
You can just go on our website, our vendor page. If they gave us a photo, they're up on our vendor page with direct links to them.
Awesome. Well, I'll pull them from there, but they will be also on the show notes so that listener can get them there. And speaking, obviously, continuing off of newness here, I hear Virtuous Con is going to have a panel called "The Magic of Ianu," the creation of an animated series that's in development for Cartoon Network.
Yep.
What can you tell us about this panel that's going to be?
We're so excited about it. First of all, we want to thank Lion Forge, who is a sponsor and is sponsoring this panel to bring exclusive content of Ianu to our audience. Lion Forge is the animation company behind Hair Love.
Yes.
And and is doing a lot of other things. If you go through their website, they're like that. This is just the beginning. It's a Black-owned company, and it is so indicative of what we're trying to elevate at Virtuous Con. You know, so many times you think, oh, well, Black creators aren't really in the speculative fiction space, etc. And when you really dig not far below the surface, not only do you find that we are in this space, we are defining that we are at the elevated level of creation in this space, and we are pushing the frontier. And Lion Forge is a perfect example of that. They've taken a comic that was created by Roya Coupe, and have developed it into this groundbreaking African-inspired superpower, story that is bringing representation and excellent storytelling, to a mass media. And
That's
is
super
exactly
exciting.
what we're doing. So it's just you're gonna get exclusive footage and images. You're gonna hear from people who are at the top of their game, defining new frontier in this field.
Wow.
And you're gonna get that in the Yanu panel and almost every panel that you're gonna see at Virtuous Con, because that's just how bad we are.
Whew, tell it now. So on this more serious side, not even more serious, but just focus. So because of one, you're a creator, you're an artist yourself. So your look on the future is going to be different from those who aren't actively thinking creatively in their mindset.
Mhm.
But how do you, with where you are as a creator, where you are with Virtuous Con, what do you foresee the next 5 to 10 years looking like for Black creators in the sci-fi fantasy comic space? Where do you see the trajectory of where we're going? You kind of just touched on it a little bit, but I'm interested to see, what your broader view of the near future is going to look like as we continue to forage further.
Thank you for asking this question, because it is at the heart of why I'm doing what I'm doing. As I talked about before, the goal with Virtuous Con is to change the narrative about us. The mad, bad, sad narrative about Black people is profitable in more than, not just in terms of money. There is a concerted reason why these narratives, as opposed to all the other narratives, are being told about Black people. In order to change that, you must have an infrastructure that is able to nurture, cultivate, produce, and distribute not bad, expansive narratives of Black people. That is where we're headed in the next 5 to 10 years. Virtuous Con, this is the smallest version. This is the next smallest version of the infrastructure that I'm trying to create, and so many artists are creating to nurture, produce, distribute, market everything. Expansive narratives of Black people. In the next 10 years, we will own that infrastructure. We will control it. And then we'll run with it.
That sounds like a bright future to me. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, because you must own, not just own the narrative, but own the method of
Distribution. Yeah, delivery.
The narrative.
And that's
and right now, that's outside our hands.
Right, and that's been a problem. It's
Since
outside of
beginning.
outside of the flash and pan that we had with BET, we haven't owned it.
It's not just, BET's struggle was not just owning it, because there's the marketing of it.
Right.
There's the distribution. There are so many things that make a network viable, right? Understanding all those mechanisms, having the financing to weather the storms that every network does in order to expand, in order to get greater market share. We have a streaming service right now, Quayle TV, a Black-owned streaming service right now. She was
Never
a
heard of it.
guest. The owner was a guest on Virtuous Con last year.
I've
She
never even heard of
streams
that.
all kind KWELI TV
Okay.
right now. All the like I said, it's not just. I mean, I'm the smallest part of this
Yeah.
equation. There are Black production companies cropping up everywhere, putting out content by Black creators that they own and distribute. And we don't just have to produce content by Black creators.
Oh, of course, yeah,
It's
but
really about the infrastructure to,
right.
like I said, not just produce the narrative, but deliver the narrative in a
Yes.
way that is ever expanding in the market.
'Cause I've seen
You
there's
know,
been such a reduction between television, film, and print. Like pardon me. For us coming up, Jet, Ebony, Essence, Vibe. The
Mhm.
'90s, the Source, Double XL, like, and then it all started to the rise of BET. Then all started to just decline.
We are in a renaissance of that, though. When you look at all of these Black artists who are starting their own production companies, Ava DuVernay, part of why she started Erect was not just the production of the content, the distribution of that content. We've got more avenues for financing, Black-owned financing than we've ever had before. It's just pulling it together, owning it, and controlling it.
Absolutely.
So it's a very exciting time.
What a time to be alive. Last section is our closing call topic here. Little fun. I want you to create a crew to explore the cosmos. So I want you to pick a ship,
my
a
God.
captain, first officer, engineer, doctor, pilot / navigator, and then one wild card character.
Oh my gosh. I can't do this on the fly. Oh man. All right. I'm gonna have the ship's name has to be the Nebuchadnezzar because I think that's like the best ship ever.
Okay.
I'm
Are you sure you want to be in that ship? Because it wasn't the best maintained.
It's the name. It's not the ship itself.
Okay.
You know what? The ship itself looks like the Millennium Falcon because it's the best, fastest hunk of junk in the galaxy.
Okay.
We call it the Nebuchadnezzar.
So you're gonna rename the Millennium Falcon the Neb.
Yes, I just did that.
Okay.
That's done. So
we did that.
we did that.
Hey, you're the new owner, so now you can call whatever
That's
you
right.
want.
My captain is obviously Yoda.
Okay.
And first officer is Mace Windu.
Okay.
For engineer, we're gonna have Ripley.
Okay.
Because Ripley sees stuff coming.
She does.
She does. I think for the doctor. Oh man. I'm just pulling people. You know what I was gonna say? I was gonna say Scully from the X-Files.
She's a doctor.
Because
I totally always forget that she's a doctor.
she is the doctor. That's why she knows more than Mulder.
Well, yeah, that wasn't that hard.
And it wasn't that hard.
It wasn't
Oh,
that
but
hard.
the script. Oh, but the script.
Yes.
The pilot. All right, so this is very Star Wars heavy. I'm
That's
gonna
okay.
go with Lando.
Okay.
Yeah, because Lando needs his ship back.
I love Lando. I'm such a big Lando fan. It's not even funny.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, for all the good reasons.
Yeah,
right?
like
Every reason.
I understand why people like Han Solo, but Lando is Han, but better.
With more style.
With
a
more
cape.
style and more swag and more drip. Like,
Yeah.
like I was like, do you people understand that Lando is Han? He's just the better version. Like,
Right.
They
Like,
make Han a captain. Lando's a general.
Yeah, Han is Lando's protege. That's
Essentially, yeah.
You go to the source. We
Yeah.
go to the source. Like,
Exactly.
yeah. So All right, for Navigator, we're gonna have Storm
Mm.
from X-Men.
Oh yeah,
Why
Aurora
would we
Monroe.
have anybody else?
No, she's it. And then a wild card. So for wild, now I would throw out some suggestions. So wild cards could be people like Shepherd Book from Firefly, Uhura, anybody that just would fit, any character that would fit really good in your crew that doesn't have to be pertain to a particular position, but somebody that would be really great in a crew.
No, I was thinking Trinity.
Okay.
Matrix.
Yeah, well, Trinity's great.
Yeah.
I like that pick.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a renamed Millennium Falcon, Yoda, Mace, Ripley, Scully, Lando, Storm, and Trinity. I like it. I dig it.
Yeah.
I'm digging it.
My crew.
That's awesome. Well, we are exactly on time. So, as we close this episode, I just want to first thank Cerise for giving so much of your time, your enthusiasm, your knowledge, and just every bit of your essence through this interview. It's been an amazing time conversating with you.
It's been wonderful speaking with you too. I'm really deeply grateful for the questions.
Yes, and just the insight you've given me into running this thing and starting and not just the insight but the inspiration. Like hearing you and seeing you, I can see the light in your eyes as you talk about it. So no, it's been an amazing time here with you. Listeners, again, in the show notes, you can find the link to Cerese's website, the link to Virtuous Con. You will find the links to the 5 creators that she mentioned. Give it a click. This episode is going to go live this evening, so there is still time to register for Virtuous Con, which launches tomorrow, Friday, February 23rd, and also it's 2 days, correct?
Yes, we're having our launch party. It's a free launch party on Twitch. If you still not sure, you should join us tomorrow. We're going to have so much fun. You will wonder why you had not bought your tickets already. And then Saturday and Sunday, our virtual floor show opens, and we have our panels over Saturday and Sunday. But all you have to do is go to virtuouscon.com, and all the things will be there.
Yes, indeed. So thanks to Cerise for joining us. Listeners, thank you, as always, for supporting the original Jeek Podcast. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen, give us a follow. If you can't find us, give us a message on social media or email us at jeeknation@gmail.com. And until next time, peace.
Ready to make an entrance, so backward cut. Come on, clap for me.
Oh, yeah. Whoa, slow down. Whoa, speed up.
This is DJ What, and you're listening to the original Jeek Podcast.